Şimdi uluslararası bir katılımcımız bizimle birlikte olacak. Şafak Hanım konuşmasında da bahsetmişti. EYDK olarak bizler GSC üyesiyiz ve Türkiye'yi temsil ediyoruz diye. Bu oturumda Yunanistan'ın EYDK'sı diyelim. GSC'ye üye olan kurum Hellenic Impact Investing Network'in Yönetim Kurulu Başkanı bizlerle birlikte olacak. Kendisiyle girişimcilik ekosistemi Yunanistan örneğini konuşuyor olacağız. Hello, Kostis. So it was an introduction in Turkish. I think you have heard about it. I just introduced you as the Greek EYDK because you're a member of GSG. You know, it will be much more easier for everyone to understand your position. Thank you for joining our event today. We are very happy to have you.
Yes, the pleasure is all mine. Merhaba, first of all, kalispera. Thank you so much for the invitation. It is an honor, and I have to admit, you are a sister organization in Turkey, but we do have preferences, and you're one of our preferences, especially excited and inspired by the people that are running EYDK. Therefore, we're looking so much forward to an even closer collaboration in 2025.
Yes, exactly. That's something we are also looking forward to. Actually, today we have representatives from public and private organizations and also non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, and of course we have entrepreneurs with us. So we would like to go through the Greek system and also what's your entrepreneurship ecosystem look like. So if it's okay for you, I can start with the first question.
Of course.
Okay. Greece has been significant progress in developing its startup ecosystem. What were the key reforms and initiatives that contributed to this transformation?
Thank you for that. Well, I think that Greece's startup ecosystem came a long way, especially in the last 5 years. But I think that the very first trigger was the mindset change that followed the economic crisis years. Somehow it seems that this situation, which was very hard for the Greeks, the macroeconomic transformation that was absolutely necessary, had also a positive effect. And one of this is that it potentially, as we have assessed it, has triggered creativity, especially in younger people. But the real push started in 2019, and what has changed the landscape was the introduction of a very well thought policy environment, tax incentives for angel investors, tax incentives for research and development. They have helped a lot. A framework for stock options. This was also very important. Then we had incentives for foreign investors, like the Golden Visa program. But I think that what also helped was more visibility, and there was a launch of a dedicated state-linked organization, Elevate Greece, that has and is acting until today, of course, as an official registry of startups. So that was the first coordinated approach of adding visibility to the startups in our ecosystem. Now, on the impact investing side, we have been monitoring, of course, the developments in the market as the National Advisory Board for Impact Investing for Greece, and we see that the ecosystem is growing in parallel to the whole startup ecosystem. But I feel that this change is happening exponentially now. So only in the last 1 and 2 years, we have seen dozens of impact startup launching. And I feel that one of the reasons is also because of our work. So we're educating a lot, we're creating awareness, we're talking a lot about impact investing. And the thing is, our vision is within our role at the Hellenic Impact Investing Network, not to have just any startup. We would ideally want to have environmentally and socially driven startups, because this will also give the possibility to a more robust economy. So the new economy that we want to build in Greece. So education, awareness, extremely important. We need to inspire more young people instead of launching a startup that is not connected to environment and society, to go more the impact route.
Okay, thank you, Kostis. Actually, what you have just said is very similar to Turkey and what we have been doing as EYDK here in Turkey. It's because that, first you have to create an awareness and then capacity building activities follows afterwards. Then, it's not only being an entrepreneur, but it's really important to be an entrepreneur caring about social and environmental positive change. So it's pretty similar here in Turkey. So the second question is around impact investing and also venture capitals, and we are wondering that how they are played roles in fostering Greece entrepreneurial resilience.
Yes, this is a good question. What can inspire somebody to launch a startup? If there's capital available, and we started having available capital with the venture capital funds that have been launching, of course this can get people excited. Today we have more than 30 venture capital funds. If you ask me, I think there are probably even a little bit too many for the size of the market today, comparing to the German venture capital angel investing market or the Netherlands that are a little bit more progressed. And half of these 30 venture capital funds are focusing on startups. I feel that they had a role, a very important role in pushing in that direction. And we have then the Hellenic Development Bank for investments, the HDBI. This is the state public LP that has been anchoring new fund initiatives, new fund launches. They have been doing, their role is very catalytic, and they have been doing an exceptional work in advancing and pushing for the launch of more funds in general, of which some are also impact funds. On the impact investing side, I think the market is still early compared to Western Europe, of course, but with our actions and our agenda, we are trying to push more impact capital in the right direction. So we have mapped recently the investor landscape for the very first time. So market sizing initiatives, that you have done something similar, are important. And if you communicate these market mapping initiatives as well, you can get even more people inspired, so that the next fund, again, is an impact fund. So we now know that we had in 2024, 20 dedicated impact investors. And again, we would like to see 100 dedicated impact investors in the market. But I think this is a good start. The existence of impact-focused investors will then, as I said at the beginning, trigger the creation of new impact startups. And that's how we can push them forward. And one of our main goals, activities, and strategies is also to design impact investing strategies that are missing from the market. We have the expertise on the HIIN side. We have the right people. We have all been doing impact investments globally for more than 15 and 20 years. We have experts in the board of the HIIN. So if we don't design strategies, it's exactly the same discussion that we were having 5 years ago in Switzerland and Germany, and 10 years ago. Financial innovation and financial products eventually can push the creation of a market for entrepreneurs, of a startup market. So I think this is something that we will put as a first priority for 2025. Education is wonderful, awareness is great, but we need to focus more on creating investment strategies.
Okay, thank you very much. What about the international collaborations? How has the Greek startup ecosystem benefited from international collaborations, and what are the lessons learned taken from this approach?
So we are now at a very special period for Greece, especially compared to the last 20 years. There has never been more interest and actual capital inflow from other markets. So the foreign capital that is coming to Greece is massive. especially in the last 5 years, we have never seen this before, and we are in a good momentum. So the challenge that the HIIN has right now is how can we pipeline this capital that is coming in? Nevertheless, we are still in the periphery. So we had up to now the HIIN, Enterprise Greece, Impact Hub Athens, local VCs. They were helping with Greek startups getting more international exposure. But sometimes, despite the fact that we are in Europe, we are in the European Union, and we are also in Euro, we sometimes feel a little bit disconnected to what happens in the Western world. And I think that we need to start becoming even more extroverted. I think that if we want to allow for best practices exchange, knowledge exchange, we need to be more extroverted. And these kind of collaborations can help. Look, for example, what we're doing today and what we have been doing with our exchange, right? We have been exchanging ideas, best practices, how we can help our own ecosystems. So these kind of international collaborations are catalytic. We want to be able, the HIIN has an advantage because we have a lot of international people on the board and in the team. We have an advantage of being in the center of the international investment and impact ecosystem. But in order to be able to use this kind of contacts and network, we need to have exceptional deals and startups that we can then present, and we can inspire, and we can bring more international investors and have them include in their strategy the geography here.
Yes, exactly. Actually, this is one of the best things about being part of GSC, right? So you are here today, so we are exchanging ideas about the impact investing ecosystem and the entrepreneurships, and we are learning from each other. So that's why we always want our stakeholders like you to be involved in this kind of activities. So that's the start of an international collaboration, and we don't know what's going to be next, but it's a very good start.
And conferences are great, like the one that you're doing today. Conferences are hard work. Most of the attendees don't ever always know this, but they're very hard work, but they're achieving exactly that. The conference that we have in Athens every year, the International Impact Conference, we are always trying to have a very balanced mix between startups, governmental organizations, investors, private investors, institutional investors, and experts. And a lot of international people that are visiting. So this kind of international collaboration can happen through such dedicated events as well.
Yes, exactly. We need contributions of all relevant parties, stakeholders, right, in order to move forward. Thank
Absolutely.
you. My other question is about the sectors. And what sectors in Greece have experienced the highest entrepreneurial growth, and what factors contributed to their success?
Well, I think that Greeks are traditionally good in technologies and mathematics and IT, so they have an affinity for these areas. We had a lot of startups in the biotech segment. We had startups in the property tech, in fintech, in retail tech, and some of them very successful. So we have already some unicorns in that area. We had some successful international exits. On the impact investing side, I think we're seeing more and more startups where Greece's natural strengths lie. So the climatic conditions, the geographic conditions, so sustainable food and agriculture, blue economy. Social entrepreneurship is an upcoming theme in Greece when it comes to new startup launches. And what our vision is here is how can we take the best of the best, how we can accelerate it first. So we're launching a dedicated impact accelerator, a 3-stage impact accelerator. The reason being, still on their first stages, there are fantastic initiatives out there to train startups the best possible way. But are they really ready to land on an institutional investor's desk so that they can get the proper capital? I'm not so sure. So we thought that we're going to introduce a 3rd stage of acceleration with a very well organized investment readiness bootcamp to be able to speed them up and make them even more professional. If you see, and that always strikes me, we see markets like in Germany, and you see the same age entrepreneurs with the same stage of a startup, and still they're more educated, they're more trained, and because they're growing up in ecosystems that are more progressed. They have a lot of accelerators, they have a lot of incubators, they have a lot of angel investors. So they're smarter, and they're starting not with a 50,000 offering, they're starting right away with a 2 million offering, and then they can get their business plans financed quicker. So I think that our goal is not only to see more startups, but select with awards competition and accelerators, the better ones, that we can showcase in the international impact community. This will, again, going back to our previous question, will bring more capital into the country in the startup ecosystem.
Okay, thank you very much, Kostis. So this is my last question to you. And, considering the global economic uncertainties that all the world is facing right now, what strategies can help ensure the long-term sustainability of Greece's entrepreneurship ecosystem?
Well, this is a difficult question. It's a very good question. It's a difficult question. Right now, if you remember, during the crisis years, Greece was actually not progressing, not growing, while Europe was doing very well. But now it's exactly the opposite. We still have a very strong momentum in terms of GDP growth, and Europe is slowing down a little bit. I don't know how long this is going to last, but this is definitely an advantage right now, at least. Now, we are consistently over the European Union average in terms of growth, but we need to stay consistent also with tax policies, with policies in general, I would say. So the tax reforms have progressed, but we need to push more. We need to come up with more incentives. We need to come maybe even with a more stable tax system so that entrepreneurs can plan. And I think that at the end of the day, when we're talking about startup, the best strategy to be resilient to global strategies is to focus on environmental and social issues. Impact investing is about risk management. Impact investing is about the new economy. Impact investing is about innovation. So when a new venture fulfills this criteria and has full alignment with society and environment, per definition, they're going to be more robust to global economic crisis and uncertainty in the future. So only through impact investing we can really ensure long-term sustainability. And I would add, specifically for Greece, what is still needed to keep this kind of advantage is more policies and more initiatives around access to finance. We have 90+% of all the enterprises in Greece are micro and small medium enterprises. I think there is a lot of similarity to Turkey, but we need to make sure that these businesses on the debt financing side, they have enough capital for their working capital requirements, for their growth plans. So I think this is something that is missing. We're planning there to launch a new product in the context of the fantastic examples from abroad, microfinance, micro, small, medium enterprises, lending, fintech loans, impact fintech loans, to be able to offer this kind of a missing service in the market. With this kind of aspects, I think we can somehow make sure that we keep the impact ecosystem, startup ecosystem, a little bit more robust to global crisis. And in the region, we have a lot of turmoil, unfortunately, so they're absolutely necessary, and they need to implement it in 25, 26.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your valuable contribution. I'm going to turn to the audiences that if they have any questions to our guest speaker from Greece. Yes, there is one.
Thank you. Kostis, thank you. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Thank you. I am Selim Ekşi. I am a member of
Hello,
the real
Selim.
estate industry in Turkey. You mentioned golden visas. I know this increases the housing prices in Athens and several summer cities. I have a question about the impact investment strategies. How can an impact investment strategy be devised so that a fund focusing on housing can benefit from this? Are there any real-life examples for this idea? Because I know there is affordable housing production and there is also transforming the offices into residential areas in Greece. We have two ways to tackle this problem. Which one would be more suitable for this case? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Fantastic question, actually. Huge problem with increasing real estate prices. It might be good for some people that are owners, but they're also increasing the rent in people that cannot necessarily afford it, like students, etc. So I think that what the golden visa needs to focus more, and I think that's what we're doing right now in Greece, they need to focus more on investments. So right now they have increased the amount that you need to get the golden visa by buying an apartment in Greece, and now the cheaper options are to invest in a startup. So that might actually help get more capital and trigger more startup creations. Now on impact activities around the real estate sector, we're not so progressed with social housing. There is a new initiative from the church that we are monitoring very closely, and we see how we can support it to advance. But there's also something that we need to look into, and this is thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of empty, not used and not utilized actually apartments that could be put into the market in order to take the prices a little bit more down. I believe in social housing, especially if we combine environmental characteristics like energy efficiency. I also believe that there's going to be tremendous interest from local and international real estate investments. Don't forget, social housing and student housing traditionally have done investments in the past in this area. Both traditionally have the highest yields, and they're very robust in economic crisis. So we have something there. I fully agree with you. It's something that also the government and the state needs to look closer to. But the problem is there, and we need to find very quickly a solution. There are a lot of people buying real estate from abroad, and the local population is facing challenges.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you EYDK for having this opportunity for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have one more question from Şafak.
Hi, Kostis. It's great having you here. Thank you for making yourself available today and giving your insights. As we are,
the honor is mine to be there. Thank you so much again for the invitation. You know that I'm a very, very big admirer of your work.
Thank you so much. So we are of yours. So we have an audience here of entrepreneurs who are prone to impact investing. And how do you think we can bring together the Greek and the Turkish community, the entrepreneurs together? Actually, we have tried for a project together in the previous months, but that was kind of not under our framework. It was under the framework of the relevant ministries of the two governments. So, but that doesn't mean that we cannot take action here. Would you like to give a message from your side, from Greece, to the audience here, to the entrepreneurs here? How could we collaborate together as two nations? And in terms of entrepreneurship, can you give us like 3 priority areas for entrepreneurship for such a collaboration? Thank you, Kostis.
Thank you, dear Şafak. Well, we have a lot of proof from the last 50, 100, 200 years of how of how entrepreneurs, actually small businesses on the islands and on the coast of Turkey, are working together in tourism, for example. And that comes not on the front page of the news, but for the people that have been there and have talked to people, and we have a very big community abroad when I'm traveling and I'm meeting a lot of people from Turkey, is that this collaboration has been going on for years. When we add innovation from younger people from universities or impact teams, I think we can excite and we can inspire. So blue economy, I think, would be definitely one area that we can have younger people work closer together. Sustainable tourism, absolutely. Both our countries have a very huge income and a contribution to their GDPs from tourism. They're very classical destinations. But I would also dare to say sustainable food and agriculture. So the main themes that we will look into. And the advantage there is by going into collaboration, they're starting already with some partners that are very close and that have in so many different ways a similar approach and very similar cultural characteristics. And those are already the two requirements for a successful partnership. So we would definitely be very open to this. I agree with you. It doesn't need to be formal. It doesn't need to be necessarily initiated by governments. My personal experience from young Turkey entrepreneurs was that they're very keen in doing something like that. The same with the Greeks. So I think we have the power, the knowledge, the network, the ideas, and the energy to put something like that together. So I would be delighted to explore that in more detail.
This is such a positive message, Kostis. Thank you very much. And we are hosted by one of our member institutions today, which is actually a university technopark. ODTÜ Teknokent is the name. And maybe this is a message to the administrators of the technopark here, so that we can create such a collaboration out of this conversation. Why not? And our similarities between our cultures is a great leverage, I think. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you. And before I close, I would like to invite everybody in the audience, and of course our friends at EYDK, all of you, to visit us in early October at the Athens Impact Investing Conference. There's also an Impact Weekend with a lot of food, and I know that you like Greek food as much as we like Turkish food, so looking very much forward to having everybody there. It's an open invitation for all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kostis, for your valuable contribution and your time.
My pleasure. It was an honor.